101 famous poems. The Cloud. By Percy Bysshe Shelley. Spoken and with commentary by E. T. Hansen. I bring fresh showers for the thirsting flowers from the seas and the streams. I bear light shade for the leaves when laid in their noonday dreams. From my wings are shaken the dews that waken the sweet buds every one, when rocked to rest on their mother's breast as she dances about the sun. I wield the flail of the lashing hail and whiten the green plains under, and then again I dissolve it in rain and laugh as I pass in thunder. I sift the snow on the mountains below, and their great pines groan aghast, and all the night 'tis my pillow white, while I sleep in the arms of the blast. Sublime on the towers of my skiey bowers, lightning my pilot sits. In a cavern under is fettered the thunder, it struggles and howls at fits. Over earth and ocean, with gentle motion, this pilot is guiding me, lured by the love of the genii that move in the depths of the purple sea. Over the rills and the crags and the hills, over the lakes and the plains, wherever he dream, under mountain or stream, the spirit he loves remains. And I, all the while, bask in heaven's blue smile, whilst he is dissolving in rains. The sanguine sunrise, with his meteor eyes and his burning plumes outspread, leaps on the back of my sailing rack when the morning star shines dead. As on the jag of a mountain crag, which an earthquake rocks and swings, an eagle alit one moment may sit in the light of its golden wings. And when sunset may breathe from the lit sea beneath its ardors of rest and love, and the crimson pall of eve may fall from the depth of heaven above, with wings folded I rest on mine airy nest, as still as a brooding dove. That orbed maiden with white fire laden, who mortals call the moon, glides glimmering over my fleece-like floor by the midnight breezes strewn. And wherever the beat of her unseen feet, which only the angels hear, may have broken the woof of my tent's thin roof, the stars peep behind her and peer. And I laugh to see them whirl and flee like a swarm of golden bees, when I widen the rent in my wind-built tent, till calm the rivers, lakes, and seas, like strips of the sky, fallen through me on high, are each paved with the moon and these. I bind the sun's throne with a burning zone, and the moon's with a girdle of pearl. The volcanoes are dim, and the stars reel and swim, when the whirlwinds my banner unfurl. From cape to cape, with a bridge-like shape, over a torrent sea, sunbeam-proof, I hang like a roof, the mountains its columns be, the triumphal arch through which I march with hurricane, fire, and snow, when the powers of the air are chained to my chair is the million-colored bow. The sphere fire above its soft colors wove, while the moist earth was laughing below. I am the daughter of earth and water, and the nursling of the sky. I pass through the pores of the ocean and shores. I change, but I cannot die. For after the rain, when with never a stain the pavilion of heaven is bare, and the winds and sunbeams with their convex gleams build up the blue dome of air, I silently laugh at my own cenotaph, and out of the caverns of rain, like a child from the womb, like a ghost from the tomb, I arise and unbuild it again. About Percy Bysshe Shelley. Percy Bysshe Shelley, 1792 to 1822, did not achieve fame during his lifetime, but today is considered one of the foremost English classical poets and is renowned not only for his mastery of verse, but for his radical political views and his short but adventurous life. Shelley was born in Broadbridge Heath, West Sussex, the eldest son of a politician and member of Parliament, with whom he fought over his allowance and inheritance for much of his life. He attended Eton College in Oxford, where he was a poor student, but where he developed an interest in the occult, science, and radical politics, which eventually got him expelled from Oxford. The rest of his life consisted of a series of elopements, marriages, changing living arrangements with a variety of women, often simultaneously, and travels to Switzerland, France, and Italy. His second wife was Mary Shelley, the daughter of the famous feminist Mary Wollstonecraft and the author of Frankenstein. Much of his life he lived in exile on the continent, sometimes with his friend and fellow romantic poet John Keats. Shelley died in a boating accident in Italy at the age of 29. His body was cremated on the beach in an open fire, but his heart would not burn, and so was preserved and kept by a friend. His best-known works include Ozymandias, Ode to the West Wind, To a Skylark, the political ballad The Mask of Anarchy, and Prometheus Unbound, often considered his masterpiece. Jesus was right on giving in secret. I have to admit I dread poetry from certain poets, especially Byron and Keats and Shelley. When I saw The Cloud coming up, I thought, here we go again. It's going to be a long, convoluted mess that I can't understand without rereading each sentence 5 times to figure out what he's saying. It's one of the dirty little secrets of English literature that many early poets, right up to the 20th century, wrote in a style that was intentionally difficult and confusing, putting the subject and verb wherever they felt like it, smothering the poem in multiple clauses and interjections that make you think the sentence is about something it's not. No one likes admitting it, but poets of those earlier generations often strove to emulate Latin poetry because they thought Latin was the more intellectual language. But Latin grammar is more complicated than English grammar, and the result is hard to read. So I was pleasantly surprised when The Cloud turned out to be easily comprehensible. The sentences mostly have the kind of structure you expect in English. When you think it's time for a subject or a verb, voila, a subject or a verb pops up. That is much different from his other more Latin style, and it was a pleasure to get the basic meaning and enjoy the beautiful, forceful imagery and mystical ideas without struggling. I hadn't thought Shelley could write in such a reader-friendly style, but he could. He just didn't like doing it very often. There is a strange idea we have that simplicity is for dummies, while anything complicated and difficult is more valuable, more intellectual, even more truthful. That is not true. I sometimes read the great philosophers, who often write intentionally in a challenging way, and take their sentences and straighten them out and reformulate what they are saying in a plainer language. And I am surprised to find that underneath all those unnecessary words and clauses, they often aren't saying anything special at all. And when they do say something special, they are things that could have been expressed in a much simpler way. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Don't believe everything you read. You are what you do, not what you say. Know yourself. But that would have been less impressive, and no one would have applauded their vast intelligence. We all want to be thought of as smart, and we all want to be admired, and there is good reason for that. We are social creatures, and all of life is a struggle to belong to a community that will protect and help us. Being admired, being valued as a member of a group, it's not just about vanity. It's a very real need. But is that all? What about trying to give something to those around us? A helping hand, a kind word, a reassurance instead of contradiction, a poem, an image of beauty, a thought, an observation they might find useful, a little piece of us that might enrich their lives. I was raised a Mormon, and we had a saying about charity: give in secret. It comes from the Bible, from the first verses of Matthew 6, when Jesus said about people who give in public, making a big show of it and reaping applause, they have received their reward. When you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. It's hard to do a good thing when no one is watching, with no applause, getting nothing back, but it seems to me that selfless giving is the purest and truest kind of giving. I remember a time when I didn't have any money and I was going to job interviews in old clothes. One day a friend showed up and said, "By the way, I have an old sports jacket that didn't fit me, but it might fit you." And he gave me a brand new jacket that fit me perfectly and looked really good. Only much later did I realize that he had probably bought the jacket for me new, because he had seen I was in financial straits. It was the kindest thing anyone ever did for me. There are many ways to give selflessly and without the expectation of admiration. It might be a small thing, like the act of giving to charity, or taking time to show interest in a neighbor who has recently seen trouble. But it could also be bigger, even a central part of our lives. As a writer, I am always confronted with a basic decision on how to write. There are two basic ways. I can write in a complicated, wordy way that only highly educated people will enjoy, but might not contain anything useful under the veneer of big words. Or I can write in a more modest way, in hopes of reaching people from all walks of life, and concentrate instead on writing something that might be useful to my readers. The first kind of writing will get the admiration of my peers. The second would not. On the contrary, my peers will look down on me. But when I reach the end of my life and look back, I believe the admiration of my writing ability will mean less to me than the hope that I did something to enrich someone's life. you.